107.5 WBLS, your number one source for R&B.
107.5 WBLS. Hey, this is an honor. I told you, ladies, he's coming, and he has arrived. This brother is distinguished. He's a debonair actor, and he is balanced. He's balanced, and he's gaining such a wonderful, wonderful front load of wonderful films that we have seen him in over the years. I told him as we were coming into the studio today that one of my favorites, and I'm sure it's a favorite of yours, is The Great Debaters. It is a pleasure and honor to welcome Brother Nate Parker finally to The Quiet Storm.
That's right. Love to be here.
And I'm surprised that you know about this Quiet Storm, man. I know you move around the country, around the world a lot.
Yeah,
so.
I'm old school, but I also have a mother that's a fan of yours.
Really?
So as we came in, I was like, yeah, I'm a fan of yours too.
Well, thank you so much, brother. I'm a fan of yours as well, brother.
Appreciate it.
For sure.
Much.
And congratulations.
Thank you. It's a happy time when people enjoy what's being made, and it's positive, and it's perpetuating positivity in the community. So I'm happy, man. I'm happy to be here.
Brother, you have got to be overwhelmed. I would be overwhelmed because you were personally selected by Denzel Washington. And to some, that may not mean a lot. I don't know if it means a lot to you, but from an outside guy looking in, knowing how detailed and knowing how unique he is, and knowing how much he has studied the craft of art, of film, for you to have caught his attention well enough because he directed,
right,
we should say, The Great Debaters.
That's correct.
And select you for the role of Henry Lowe. That was pretty interesting. I mean, how did you feel about that?
It was my mother would call it divine appointment.
Okay.
The thing about the town, and for you artists out there, actors, when you get to Hollywood, a lot of times it's catch-22. You can't get work unless you've had work. So up until that point, I had limited, material to show. But I always knew if I got in front of someone that wasn't afraid to go on his gut, then I would have an opportunity. And so when I got the opportunity to get in front of Denzel, I prepared more than anyone could have prepared. I mean, I knew the script, everyone's lines, exposition. I literally memorized the whole script. And I wanted him to know that that's how far I was willing to go, that it wasn't just about me, that I was a servant of the project in such a way that he can open the script anywhere and put his finger on a dialogue, start it, and I could finish it.
Wow.
And then, I was blessed enough to get picked by him. It was great. It was one of those experiences that I didn't really allow myself to feel until I was done with the movie. Because at no point did I ever want him to feel that I was, starstruck or anything like that.
Sure.
I wanted him to know that, he hired me for a reason, and he was going to get every inch of me in that role, and he wouldn't have to worry about me, misstepping. And then on the way home, and that's when I, allowed myself to, acknowledge the fact that it even happened. And it was
you relished in the moment then.
I did, man. I even shed some tears. You know what I mean? It was like, man, this is a dream come true on so many levels.
That's a great way to shed tears. And we should also mention that upon you doing that particular movie, I understand that you are Dr. Nate Parker.
Oh, man.
Because you did get a doctorate.
Look at you. Yeah, right? You did your research. I did. From Wiley College, I gave the commencement speech that next year to the graduating class, and they presented me with a doctorate. And so it was really interesting. I love that school.
What do you look for, man, in roles that you accept?
I think my approach to material is always based on my line in the sand. I don't look at a material and then say, okay, well, would I do this? I say, okay, well, this is my line in the sand. These are the things that first of all, this is what I want my legacy to represent. These are the things that I won't do. These are the things I'm looking for. So for me to look at a project and like it, has to make its way through the filter of those things. So, for one, first off, I don't want to do anything ever that, I feel is attack on, black men. You know what I mean? I don't want to do anything that's stereotypical or perpetuate something negative with respect to, it can be just, our intellect, or it can be on our position in society, it can be in the way we raise our children, the way we treat our women, the way we raise our kids, so all of those things come into effect. And does it shrink the pool of opportunity? Absolutely does. But then if you look at it from the other perspective, it allows me to create a legacy. So when I'm my deathbed, I don't have to be apologetic about anything that I've done, and my kids can look at my stuff and say that's my dad. Yeah. I don't have to write out any disclaimer and attach it to every film that I do and say, well, Daddy did this because he needed,
Yeah, need to pay rent.
Right, but that's the thing, and I think it's important. You say your niece is an actress and a talented one. She has to understand that if she goes out to Hollywood or New York or Atlanta, wherever the industry is, and she doesn't have a sense of identity, she doesn't know who she is, then she'll believe whatever they tell her she is. And she'll find herself in compromising situations just by virtue of putting herself, quote, out there, like they say. The great lie is that, well, just keep working because work begets work. No. That's not the
don't
case.
Sell your soul, baby.
Don't do it. You don't have to. You only got one of those, and there's no backtracking. Especially, you know how it is. Once you put it on wax, it's done. You can't get it back. So, compromise is like a crack in the windshield, man. Once it's there, it's there. So I try to every job, I say, you know what? How does this match through the filter of my trajectory that I want for my career?
Well, truly, the film that opens up this Friday, Beyond the Lights, with his beautiful, and that's an understatement, co-star, Gugu
Mbatha-Raw.
You're going to love this film, hands down, because I loved it. I had a chance to kind of sneak into one of the previews. No one knew I was there, and now they know. Man, it was a phenomenal film.
Oh, thank you, bro.
And your character role is a role that saves this young lady's life. She's and you guys have seen the trailers on TV already, but she's at the brink of her career. Superstar, but obviously all that glitters ain't gold.
That's right.
And she was about to take her life, and here comes Brother Nate to the rescue.
Well, you play
a police officer.
Yes, I do. I portray the character of Kaz Nicole, police officer, who has his own plan. He's law school, law enforcement, and then on to the political aspirations. And he meets this woman who's, like you talked about, on the brink of superstardom. She seemingly has everything she could ever want.
Yeah.
But the one thing she's missing is her own soul, her own voice. She's living a projection that her mom has kind of, placed on her since she was a little girl. And that voice inside her that keeps her alive is starting to die. And she's at this point where she says, I just want things to be quiet. I don't want this anymore. And I feel like, usually when we represent that career, it's all about, chains and whips. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Ironically, you know what I mean? It's like all the things that come along with being a superstar. But at the heart of it, these are people. They have their own obstacles, and she's at a low point in her life. And when he meets her, a lot of people say, "Oh, it's like a knight in shining armor." But I would say that they need each other, just as desperately. Because he's living a projection of his father, who's portrayed by Danny Glover, the great Danny Glover. And so here's a father that all he wants for his son, single parent household, is for his son to have a better life than he had. And his son, understanding that his father stood in the gap for him, has kind of accepted that debt. Like, I owe it to my father to be whatever he wants me to be. And in meeting Gugu and seeing her life, he's like, wait a minute, I'm going through the same thing. So I always say they save each other, because if they don't meet each other, she maybe ends up dead and he maybe ends up, psychologically or emotionally dead.
I don't know if this movie is softly portraying a female superstar that we have out now, but it has different highlights of it.
Well, yeah,
you may be having hearing rumors about that.
Well, I work very closely with Gina Prince-Bythewood, with the writer-director, and it doesn't reflect any one person.
Right.
It has little moments of Marilyn Monroe and Julie Garland and what they went through back in the day, and of course you could find people that in contemporary times that deal with this issue of the bright lights versus their inner voice. If you don't find your voice, there's a part of your soul that's going to continually die.
And that's why you say it's important that you know yourself.
You have to. But
everybody's, I don't mean to cut you, but everybody's so eager to get to that next step, to get into that spotlight. There's a lot of pressure that is required or that comes with that spotlight.
Right, but it goes down. You look at like Alicia Keys. Alicia Keys, when she hit the scene with Fallen, you know what I mean? We're like, who is that? Right. You know what I mean? And she's someone that I respect, in knowing her a bit personally. She's never had to compromise. She sings what she wants to sing. She's created, it's almost like the stars have aligned around her rather than her chasing the stars and spreading herself thin, spreading her soul thin. So it's not impossible. I think that there are a lot of people that, their whole idea is, well, this is the way it's always been, but that don't make it right.
Right.
A lot of things that have that happened for a long time that should have never happened.
That's true.
Until someone said it doesn't need to happen anymore. So, when people ask, what's the takeaway of this movie? I always say, before you can love someone, you gotta love yourself. And you can't love yourself unless you know yourself. So
the star of Beyond the Lights, it opens up Friday, y'all. Beyond the Lights, don't miss this movie. You do not want to miss it at all, and it definitely will be something that you will enjoy.